Vinyl community, welcome back. As you've probably gathered, it's the time of the year where I go, there's a lot of records that I haven't shown yet that I'd like to show. So I'm cramming in some videos. I'm not sure when this video will actually come out, but this is my last batch of used record finds for the year. There's some really, really cool ones in here. But yeah, this is it. So what's in the background, first of all, is this really, really cool Burning Spear record, dry and heavy. It's just very kind of like low-key, just classic. Well worth getting and listening to. Might not be as famous as the self-titled Engarvy's Ghost, but just really, really laid back, really groovy. 1997 on Island Records. Cheap and good. You kind of can't go wrong with it, really. So that's what's playing in the background. Now, where to start? Okay, I'm going to start with a pretty big hitter here, kind of, and I'll explain what I mean by that. This is Dom Edge of Time. Now, for the price, so I realized pretty quickly that this is not an original, but it's basically a second pressing that was kind of almost like a bootleg, but came out like I think 2 years later or something like that than the original. I didn't realize that this had been reissued, and had I have known that, I may have opted for a reissue, but I kind of paid a little bit for this record, but it has been on my list for ages, and it's very hard to describe what this is, but it's like a very, I hate to say krautrock, but it is, but it's like a really minimal ambient krautrock record. Really beautiful, really spaced out, very quiet, almost spiritual in parts. It's really wonderful, really interesting listen. This is a little bit noisy as well, so this is a case where I semi-regret the purchase because the noise does interrupt it a little bit. And at the time, I didn't realize there was ever a reissue of it, so I thought, I'll grab this one. And I'm happy I have it. I don't know how much I will listen to it. But it's a killer record, and just regardless of money and record collecting alone, please check out the music, because this is a really cool, brilliantly unique krautrock record. If you don't know it, Edge of Time by Dom. Fantastic. Another one that I'm really happy to has been on my radar forever. Australian record, Not Drowning, Waving, Another Pond. I discovered this on the Midday Moon. Have I got it handy? No, I haven't. The Midday Moon compilation that came out a few years ago, that I've talked about previously. I guess you would say this is almost like a post-punk, ambient world, neoclassical, I don't know how to describe it, sounds very cold and wet and grey record. I think this is really cool. I really enjoy this record. Unfortunately, this copy was cheap, but it was also really noisy, and yeah, I don't know if I'm going to keep this copy, and I don't want to pay, because it's quite an expensive record now, any real money for it, because it used to be around cheap, and I should have bought it back then, because I had seen it before on the Rampart label. Wonderful though, wonderful music. I can't think of any comparisons right now because my brain is really tired, but Not Drowning, Waving, Another Pond. A big one that I paid up for, but it's it's worth it for me. This is a massive Cornerstone Jazz record that I was missing. The price tag does live up to it. This is a really nice Japanese pressing. Point of departure, Andrew Hill. Look at that lineup there. Absolutely top shelf. Top 5 Blue Note records, for sure. I won't talk about this too much because you should all kind of know it already. Yeah. Wonderful. I'm sure this has been talked about a million times now because it's been reissued on some fancy audio label probably. Killer. Yeah, I really liked Dolphy on there and Tony Williams on drums. Okay, where else should we go? Okay, sticking with some krautrock. Another one I picked up that is still cheap and is like top tier. Rodelius. This is Lustwandel on Sky from, I think, why do I want to say 1981? It must be earlier than that. Wonderful, beautiful. I'm running out of words here to say what this record is to me. 81, yeah, I was correct. This is my favorite Rodelius solo record. I mean, I'm not going to say I've heard them all because I definitely haven't. But yeah, one that I've been on my list. And yeah, I found it in a store, which was really fantastic. Didn't have to pay shipping on a copy. Yeah, Lustwandel, Rodelius. Another one that I paid up for, and it's probably not as good as I was hoping. This is Faust, Rien on the amazing Table of the Elements label. If you don't know Table of the Elements, just have a look on the discogs and you will get an idea of the releases on that label. This is the first studio recording by Faust after they reformed. It's called Rien, produced by Jim O'Rourke. There's a whole bunch of interesting musicians on here. The most interesting for me was Michael Morley of the Dead Sea and Gate performs on this. Jim O'Rourke was all over this. The packaging is just absolutely minimal in a classic kind of Faust way. Yeah, it's not the best. It's kind of as interesting, as much as a Faust record can be. It's interesting. It's kind of cool to hear them in more of a modern production kind of way. Yeah, I mean, I didn't pay a huge amount for it, but what cracks me up is there's a giant poster here. It's massive, but it's just the silver print. And there's nothing on it, which, I don't know, I find that really funny. Anyway, yeah, Faust, Rien. I'll read what it says on the back here. These are the first studio recordings from German group Faust in over 20 years. An aggressive collision of electronics, pastiche, music concrete, power tools, and group improvisations results in an extraordinary return by one of the most seminal experimental ensembles of all time. Yeah, check it out. There's a few clips on YouTube. If I'm gonna go and listen to a Faust album, there's probably about 3 or 4 others I would pick ahead of this one. But I'm glad I have it. Alright, the last two New Zealand records. Alright, I'll start with this one. This is Builders Let's Play. Most of you will know Builders because of the album on Flying Nun called Beaten Hearts, but actually most of this stuff, which is just as good, is on the South Indies label that I would love to do a video on one time, because no one really knows or talks about South Indies, but there's some really cool releases on the label. I mean, there's a few people in New Zealand that know of the label, but mainly it's Builder In, the Builder's label, but this is just really good New Zealand post-punk that kind of doesn't get the credit it deserves because it wasn't on Flying Nun. Mine came. Didn't pay much for it at all because of the water damage, but I don't really care about that. This is Let's Play. Builder In is an amazing poet, musician, writer. Definitely worth checking out. Last one. Speaking of Flying Nun, not everything on Flying Nun is great. In fact, some of it is pretty average, and this is one that I think is pretty average, and this goes for a fair bit of money, and I've never wanted to pick it up for anything near that because I know it's not that great. I mean, it's fine, it's pleasant. The notable thing about this is it's Alistair Galbraith's first release, who went off in a way more experimental direction, but this is kind of just jangle indie pop, but not very memorable, not very catchy. Sounds like, I don't want to say amateur because amateur can have charm, but for me this one kind of falls flat. I don't know why I have it. I bought it because it was in front of me and the price was much more reasonable than I wanted. Again, don't just buy because it's on Flying Nun, because not everything is great. There's definitely some terrible ones, and I would say avoid this one unless you see it dirt cheap, really. One of the early Flying Nun EPs. And that's all really, so thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the sound clips. I know that I'm going to get a copyright strike on here, so I apologize about that. I will see you all when I see you all. Thank you again.